I remember where I was sitting when I first called Mike and said, I think we should talk about kind of doing something together and what that might look like. That process takes a huge amount of work.
Yes.
The same way you diligence an asset, the same way you diligence a partner or a vendor, it's that times 100. The way we thought about it was that this is a 50-year project or it's a bust.
Welcome to Teague Talks. Today we're sitting down with Ben Weinberg, Mike Weiss, co-founders of Castle Peak Holdings and the Trailborn brand. Gentlemen, welcome.
Great to be here.
Great to be here. Thanks for joining us at Trailborn Surf Sound.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be super fun. So again, sorry, but in my world, newcomers to this space, maybe not in your brains, but so I'm excited to have this conversation, introduce you to a lot of our audience and the people in the space. So spoiler alert for everybody, one of the main reasons we're here is these two gentlemen just did a great deal, partnership with Marriott. That's saying a lot. So congratulations on that. We will dive into those details. But first, I need to know your upbringing, who you are, how you got into this space, and in my brain, how you got from sort of Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, investment bankers to hoteliers, and specifically, experiential hoteliers.
So, Mike and I grew up together personally, and we grew up together professionally, and I'll talk a little bit about kind of what those two things are. Personally, our parents knew each other. We grew up with each other's siblings, and we've known each other for a long time. I think when you think about partnerships and the foundations of great partnerships, given the amount of uncertainty really that you have before you work with someone every day or in the trenches of the hospitality business, which is what this business is, you really have to understand who a person is, because when you're in a tough moment, which happens in every business over and over again in the most unexpected times, you really need to know who you're working with. And so us growing up together and knowing each other socially and our parents knowing each other, really kind of gave us a flavor initially of what is the fabric of who we are, what are our philosophies on life and business, which we of course talked about, and what do we find important to us that other people might not find important and vice versa, and kind of how do you build a business around a personality and a set of values, not just a business idea.
Yeah, because I didn't even put enough weight into that, but that's right. Partnerships can be complicated, can be tough. So you better know each other, like each other, trust each other. Trust being the top thing in there.
Yeah. And we decided to partner up before establishing exactly what we were going to do. And partnership was first for us, first and foremost. And we went through a windy path navigating to exactly what we wanted to do. I think I'm probably the only person, so I grew up in New York, I went to Cornell undergrad. I think I'm the only person in the hospitality industry that wasn't in the hotel school. I was in the arts and sciences school at Cornell. But our backgrounds are a mix of investing and operating. You mentioned starting on Wall Street. That's where we started our careers. We came up through the investing world. Ben has been in the investing world for the majority of his career. My career was kind of split between investing and company building. I was very lucky to have some early experiences of working at Airbnb when there was only like 30 people there while I was in business school.
Oh yeah.
And then started Compass with Ori and Robert and helped run the product team there. Our careers are kind of a mix of investing and operating, and we decided to partner up and kind of combine those roles to go after what we think is one of the most exciting.
But both New York guys, born and raised New York.
Born and raised New York.
Okay, New York, New York, New York.
Yep.
Were we independent when we joined, or were we both sitting at a cubicle at Goldman or somewhere?
I was sitting in a cubicle, Mike was independent, and was actually running a nonprofit at the time that he had started as a favor to a friend and figuring out what he was going to do next. And I remember where I was sitting when I first called Mike and said, I think we should talk about kind of doing something together and what that might look like. That process takes a huge amount of work.
Yes.
The same way you diligence an asset, the same way you diligence a partner or a vendor, it's that times 100. The way we thought about it was that this is a 50-year project or it's a bust. And that's sort of the bar, and that's what we've got to figure out, kind of how we think about the world, how we think about real estate, and kind of how we want to attack that. I think our general view is that there's kind of two ways to make money in real estate. One is being a 40 to 50-year veteran and buying something at 5.5 cap when it's actually worth 5 cap. By looking at us, if you're watching this on video, you can probably tell that's not us.
Yeah, that's that.
The second way is to be a deep sector specialist in a niche in the largest asset class in the world, which is real estate, and there are many niches where you can make a lot of money and be really creative and thoughtful about building a platform and a team of people to create value and generate alpha in a way that other people aren't doing. Not because we think we're the smartest guys on planet Earth, but we think we're paying attention to things with a level of thoughtfulness and intentionality that others aren't in a very specific space, now experiential hospitality, where we feel like we can build a big business.
You agree?
I agree. I think back to partnership, we knew that we shared the same values. I don't think we fully appreciated how different we actually were on the day-to-day skills and experiences that we had been through, which I think we've been surprised to the upside as we've worked together for the last 7 years now, kind of how complementary we actually are. If you look at us on paper, right, we both started our careers at Goldman Sachs. We've both been in the finance world. We both grew up in the Northeast. It looks pretty similar, but when you actually get to know each other and see how each other work and what we're best at, it's been a blessing on how different we actually are.
Yeah, so how do you divvy up your roles?
I would kind of categorize it in two ways. One is just philosophically, I tend to try and move a little bit faster. Mike tends to be a bit more thoughtful and slow me down a bit in a good way, in a productive way. I'd say that's sort of philosophically how we work. And then over time, you have to lean into who you are, right? So I think, Mike, you have become more of that, and I have become more of the opposite to kind of balance each other out because we know what the business needs. Then in terms of roles and responsibilities, no one reports to both of us. I think that's really important. We have a saying internally, clarity is power. You have to know who you're reporting to. You have to know what your North Star is. You have to know, this is what I need to do to win and do my job to contribute to this business. And I know if I do that, this person on my left and this person on my right will be doing the same thing. And so on the Castle Peak side, which is our investment development company, I spend a bit more of my time on that. And then on the Trailborn side, which is the brand of the operating company, Mike spends a bit more of his time on that.
So give me the relationship between Trailborn and Castle Peak Holdings.
So Castle Peak is an investment development company. We raise capital and we deploy that capital to acquire, renovate, reposition hotels and iconic outdoor destinations, places where millions of people are going, where you can't build hotels anymore and people are looking for a 4-star product and they can't find. And that's an iconic outdoor destination. So national park gateway towns, beach towns, lake towns, ski resorts, and wine country. Trailborn is the operator and brand. So that's a management company and brand combined. That company has a long-term strategic partnership with Marriott and operates and brands all of our properties.
Does Castle Peak own the Trailborn brand?
It does not.
Trailborn's owned by its own entity.
Exactly.
Known as you guys.
Yeah.
Love that. And Castle Peak doesn't have to build Trailborns or buy Trailborns. You
Correct.
can go buy a Courtyard or anything else.
Yep.
Okay.
That's not what we do today, but
Sure.
that's how to think about Castle Peak over time.
Talk to me about Castle Peak. So give me a sense of the size there.
Yeah, so the Castle Peak team is a small team. It's about 15 people, and we have really kind of 4 functions. One is kind of the platform, finance, and operations back office type functions. Another is kind of fundraising and capital formation. The third is kind of what we call investments, which is effectively acquisition and capital markets. And the last is development and construction. We got started through a series of very large and sophisticated family offices who look for kind of what we would call emerging managers like us, and have over time kind of transitioned to both institutional capital and endowments who have joined us as well.
How long did that courtship take for those partners, institutional family office?
So
partners?
Our first fund was about $100 million. We raised $10 million in our first meeting, and the number of meetings that we had after that meeting where we didn't raise a penny more was a lot. These things don't happen overnight. You got to pound the pavement and kind of stay true to yourself and remember that if someone's telling you no, it's not because they don't like you or they don't believe in you, it's just because it's not the right fit for them, which is a very common mistake, I think, of early stage entrepreneurs. But it takes time. It took us about a year to raise that first fund.
Yeah. And so now that's what I want to know. Now you're a $100 million close-in fund that is invested.
That is fully deployed, and we just raised another $300 million
into real estate and brand, or what is the fund invested in?
The fund is a opportunistic real estate fund that owns and operates hotels, acquires, renovates, and repositions hotels, effectively buying 3-star hotels and turning them into 4-star hotels that are Trailborns that are plugged into the Marriott system.
Fascinating. I see you guys as I'm going to oversell this right now, but I see you guys as an early AJ Capital, Castle Peak, and the Graduate brand.
In terms of the division of kind of labor, yes. Every business is a little bit different,
Sure.
But yeah, it's a generally similar structure.
I mean, that's a big shoes to fill, but that's a big future.
Of course.
They're impressive, but that's what I'm seeing for you guys. I got to talk. So, Mike, you're running the Trailborn brand, right?
Yep.
So
Brand
give
and
me the
management
nuts.
company.
Brand and management
Yep.
company. Thank you. So talk to me about the nuances of that.
Yeah, so those are basically the two verticals. The Trailborn brand, every property that we acquire through Castle Peak, we've turned it into a Trailborn. That has been a development process where we're designing not only the product, but the experiences and everything that Trailborn's going to become. So the brand side of the business is made up of a team of designers and creatives. And then on the management company side, we have your traditional roles on a management company. And it's about 20 people today. We'll continue to grow, but that's the side of the business that is running, operating, and branding all the hotels.
So how are we finding the assets?
In the early days, we were just doing it. We were
Sure.
walking in hotels and cold calling people, and we do a little bit less of that today, and we miss it to some degree. We have a dedicated in-house kind of business development and originations function, and that's led by a guy named Nico Sansone, and his job is to be on the road all the time, talking to owners and ultimately sellers and making sure that we're the first call. We are working with brokers on off-market processes, so coming to someone like Hunter and saying, here are 3 assets where you guys know the seller, let's talk and have a conversation about that and see if there's something to do that's outside of a broader process if that seller doesn't want to run a broader process, or we're just going kind of direct to the owners.
And how do you know that's it, that's the one? You knocking on a door, is it a marketed process? How are you figuring out that's the one we need to do?
To be a Trailborn, it has to fit within the brand pillars, the most important brand pillar being it is in an iconic outdoor destination. Right? So from a consumer perspective, we were able to offer a 4-star product that does not exist, and that product, that resort product, that experiential hospitality product is in an iconic outdoor destination. From a real estate perspective, we're very focused on big time barriers to entry.
Sure.
Really focused on supply constrained markets because as with every project, you make mistakes, and those barriers to entry are what kind of protect your return and protect your investment and allow us to make a few mistakes along the way and still win and win big. And then of course, looking at demand. Right? Who is coming here? Why are they coming here? How much disposable income do they really have? And when the going gets tough, are they still coming here? Mm-hmm. What we found is that in some of these national park markets, the patterns that we've seen over time is that people are willing to dig very deep into their pockets to keep going to these places. And in that 4-star segment, you've got some folks in that 5-star level who maybe pull back a bit and want to spend time and money on that 4-star product, especially in these national park markets.
When we buy something, to turn it into a Trailborn, it either already needs to have great food and beverage, or we need to have the infrastructure to bring great food and beverage there. So we want our guests to know every time you go to a Trailborn, there's going to be a great bar, there's going to be a great restaurant. That restaurant concept is going to fit within the location in which you're traveling to. And then we want to have a signature amenity at each property. So usually we build that, it's not there, but we want to create those experiences. And so we want to deliver a signature amenity. In most cases, that's building that. We want to make sure we can build that and the numbers still pencil. And in most cases, we're doing a pretty heavy gut renovation to the guest rooms. And so you know that you're going to get a 4-star quality guest room every time you travel to a Trailborn.
But you want the open lobby, the bar, the restaurant,
Yeah.
so you can keep it on site, all right there.
Absolutely. And everything we've done to date has been a renovation. So we haven't done anything ground up. And I think that's important for us for a speed standpoint and an experience standpoint, and an environmental standpoint too.
One way to think about it is we think about Trailborn as a owner-centric 4-star experiential conversion brand. And we, to Mike's point, our job in taking these really kind of historic buildings in some cases and creating that center of gravity, the lobby and the bar and the restaurant, is so much of what we're trying to create and work within the history of a place, the physical limitations of a place, but bring that modern feel, that fresh feel, that design forward kind of vibe that really attracts people, locals really importantly, but also of course hotel guests as well.
So I'm going to put words in your mouth, and I'm still drilling down on this location. But I'm guessing the demographics said this area, not specifically Wrightsville Beach, but probably Wilmington, or growing submarket, and let's go see what we can find down there. And then you end up somewhere on the beach, and you're like, oh, they're not building any more hotels. Let's go buy this one. We can fix that thing up and make it awesome.
That's exactly right.
Love it when I get it right.
And in most cases, we're as much market investors as we are asset investors,
Okay.
right? We identify the markets that we want to be in based on the demand dynamics, based on the supply dynamics, and the growth that's happened over the last 5 or 10 years. And we pick the markets we want to go and knock on doors, and then we go there.
And there are different ways to knock on doors, right? You can talk to the local chamber of commerce, you can get to know the mayor, you can get to know lots of different people in the community and ask them to introduce you to folks, which they may or may not be willing to do, or you can go direct to owners. In this case, this hotel before we bought it was owned by the Baggett family, owned by 4 siblings, a really nice, high quality group of people who cared a lot about this hotel. And we're thinking about selling it, and we spent a lot of time with them to get them comfortable with the fact that we were not here to replace the hotel. We were here to kind of revitalize it and hold on to a lot of the amazing history of Wrightsville Beach and this asset and everyone who's been coming here, but also kind of bring it into the next generation and the next era in a pretty thoughtful, careful way.
Where I'm trying to figure out other locations where this works. So I'm jokingly, is this work in Atlanta, Georgia, where, I don't know, hey, come, you're going to experience Lenox Mall? Or no, I need something around me to experience?
So our buy box is really iconic outdoor destinations, truly iconic outdoor destinations. That includes national park gateway towns, that includes beach towns, lake towns, wine country and ski resorts all over the US. And it really is a very kind of visceral human feeling when you go to these places and you say, wow, this is spectacular. That's kind of the feeling that we want to have when we first start studying a market. And then, of course, we study supply demand dynamics, right? That imbalance is so fundamental to what we do. Having these largely fixed and, in many cases, low quality supply bases and having growing demand over time, where we've seen the group of people who are coming to these markets really are willing to dig deep into their pockets in different types of economic environments to come here because they care about spending time with the people they love and doing them in places like this creates a really durable traveler and really durable cash flows.
What makes Trailborn different? Why Trailborn?
Yeah, so we started Trailborn because we saw an opportunity. We saw these beautiful outdoor destinations where millions of people are already traveling to, and there wasn't a design-forward experiential brand, right? There are brands that are entering these markets, whether it's people doing small, tiny homes or people doing Airstreams, and there's definitely a room in the market for those products. I think that is a special experience for people, but there wasn't a 4-star experiential hotel in a lot of these markets, and we saw the opportunity to go out and build that. And so Trailborn is taking people to places where they otherwise would have traveled and rounding out that experience with better food and beverage, with better on-site programming, and creating those moments that people will want to come back for over and over again.
Dumb it down for me. What in your brain is experiential hospitality?
We guide the adventure. So a big part of what we're focused on is putting together field guides so people know they've got a trusted advisor when they go to these markets. If you're going to go to Rocky Mountain National Park, you know the best places to eat, the best places to hike, the best place to go and take a picture in the morning and watch the sunrise. And so we try and do all that work for our guests, so when they show up, that's taken care of for them, and they feel like they've got someone to really guide them through that experience.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got the beach, clearly, but this isn't resort-y. It's not, I mean, it can be, but I'm not really going to go lay by the pool, I don't think. I think I'm going to go jump in the ocean, surf, what have you, play on the beach, do something. And then, oh, by the way, surf and sound, nice work. I got the sound, the bay on the other side over here where I can go paddleboard, go sailing, go jump on a boat, go fishing, I'm watching guys e-foil. So it's
where
involvement.
Trailborn is at its best is when people are going to a market because they want to experience something off property. We are selling that experience. Here it's people taking surf lessons, it's people going kayaking, or it's people taking a sunset cruise, right? Those experiences exist, and then we want the property to be that place where people come back, they relax, they meet other people, they gather, they've got great food, they've got fun drinks, and it's a great place to hang. A lot of the markets we go into, there are other hotels that exist, but it's a lot of select service, and that experience didn't feel rounded out to us. So we wanted to go and create something that was a great place to sleep and a fun experience on property in addition to the experiences happening off property.
I think you'd also be surprised, Teague, by how many people want to talk about all the stuff they're doing off property, but actually just want to have a drink by the pool, which we love. And by the way, I like doing that sometimes. There's some trips where I want to be active with my kids every minute of every day, and there's sometimes where I want to sit by the pool and have a beer. I think one thing that we've been surprised and intrigued by in our business as we've studied our customer and got to know our investor base is people with all the resources in the world who can stay and go anywhere they want at any time. The things that they would give for just a couple moments with their kids and their grandkids that are really memorable is something that they would do anything for. And if you ask them about those moments that they've had in their life, most of them are not in the most luxurious settings. They're just in really special places that have created a really special moment in a really special setting that they hold on to for a really long time. And it's usually with their close friends, their kids and their grandkids. We are trying to do that in every setting that we're in. We're trying to create something that is unique to the place to kind of facilitate that. That's kind of hospitality, we feel, and experiential hospitality at its best.
Yeah, that's really well said, Ben. That we're building memories first and foremost, right? I'm putting words in you guys' mouth. We're building memories, and you don't have to do it luxury, uber luxury. And sometimes if you dumb it down, the experience can be even better. Mike, help me. Where are other properties? Where are the other Trailborns?
So we're in Rocky Mountain National Park, the Grand Canyon, Highlands, North Carolina, which is a few hours from here, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, and then we've got properties in the works in Mendocino, California, and Jackson, Wyoming.
Rocky Mountain. How did we end up there?
Yeah, so Ben and I both went to the market, and I remember the moment we were sitting in a Best Western, paying $300 and something a night, and there was nothing for us to do. We said, this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's 5 million people that come here every single year. They deserve something better from a place to stay.
I can't get over the fact that you did a deal with Marriott with 4 properties open and 2 in the pipeline.
Yep.
What's our favorite one?
Yeah.
The newest one?
My favorite is here.
Why?
There's sort of an intangible to this place. I love coming down here. It's an hour and 5-minute flight from New York. We're on property every week, whether it's in Mendocino on the coast of California or it's here. There's something really magical about this place and very undiscovered. And the feeling of discovering something that's undiscovered is really powerful. And I think what we've done here is so unique to this place specifically, while showing people the consistency of what we do at Trailborn. It feels good coming here. I love it. And I love the beach.
Asking us which is our favorite property is kind of like asking someone who their favorite kid is. It's impossible to answer. It's almost
Possible answer for Mike. I guess
Yeah.
I just answered it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a good answer. Look out for Mike.
yeah. For me, it's almost like whichever one I'm focused on. So we're in the design development phase for Jackson right now, and so going out there, it's like we are in the creation mode, thinking about what that customer wants, what that customer needs. We're working with our design partners, and so I feel like I have an inside scoop there and a vision for what we are creating there that most other people don't know yet. So that's just a fun part of the process.
Help me. So we purchased a hotel. We own a hotel in Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
Great. That's the hardest part. Congratulations.
Yep.
And now, is it open operating? Do we shut the whole thing down? We're design. What are we doing right now with it?
We are in the design phase. We are operating it as is while we do all of our pre-development work. And so once that pre-development work is done, we will close it for a short period of time in a phase basis to get the work done and then reopen it as Trailborn.
And how many rooms? Like, these aren't 12 room. These are big hotels. What's this
203
one?
rooms.
Yeah, 203
This
rooms.
is 151. Jackson's 203.
Yeah, that's a big differentiator, I think.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we learned in the beginning, buying some of these smaller properties, is operating these smaller properties is hard. It's really hard, and it takes just as much work as these larger properties. Now, you have to earn investors' trust to be able to kind of buy these larger resorts, which is primarily what we're focused on now. But owning and operating small hotels requires a different operating model than operating these big resorts. You got to be scrappier.
You mentioned investors. I'm always down in that. Is it working? Are they happy?
As far as we know, yeah. You know, I always joke that if our investors are saying things about us where they're frustrated, they're not telling us right now, which is good. You know, we have had a really, really high quality group of people who joined us at the beginning. And joining anyone and supporting someone financially, spiritually, whatever it might be, at the stage that we were at the age that we were at, with the experience that we had, is a high risk endeavor.
Yes.
And they, I think, probably saw some things that we may not even have seen at the time, but just the spirit of joining someone at that time, it becomes so much more than a financial relationship, right? When someone helps you start your business. What I always talk about is like those investors who started with us in that first fund, we will be talking to them, and we will be kind of appreciative of everything that they've done for the rest of time, even if they never invest another dollar in our business. They've been incredibly supportive. Believed in us. And there's nothing more powerful than that for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Remind me on timing. 7 years ago? When was that first fund?
We started in 2021 when we launched our first fund.
2021. So we're raising money during COVID.
Yep.
Good times.
It's tough. It's tough. Building business is hard. Capitalism is hard. Hospitality is hard. But if it was so easy, people would have done it already. And so I think we take real satisfaction out of trying to build something to very simply do a good job at something that we feel is really hard to do. We don't really look to someone and say, we want to beat them, or we want to be better than them, or we want to try to be someone else. We've just picked something very narrow and specific. We want to just do a good job. We want to call our investors, walk them through it in detail, and say, we are doing a good job. Not everything has gone exactly how we planned, but we are doing a good job. And we've built a group of people who know how to do a good job really well and cohesively. And through that, we've been able to, retain and hire some really, really high quality people along the way. And that's really important to us.
You're headquartered in New York right now.
Yeah.
Why? That feels like a terrible idea. But taxes amongst the others. But why? Why New York, and are we staying there?
Most people say it's a terrible idea. I think the thing and there's validity to that for a lot of different reasons, one of which you mentioned, but New York is the center of capital and the center, we feel, of a hugely high volume of young, ambitious talent. And when we can find young people who really care about what we do and we'll run through walls to get us to where we need to be. That's what it takes to get these businesses off the ground. And Mike and I are doing that. So, in a different life, would we consider basing it somewhere other than New York? Maybe. We, I think, feel very blessed by New York, honestly. And the access to capital it's provided us, and the access to these great people who work so hard and are so committed to our business. Do those people exist in other cities? Absolutely. But the volume of it in New York is just so astronomical.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And we're hiring a pretty diverse group of people, right? So on the one hand, we have Castle Peak, where we need great investors, and then we're also trying to bring in creatives. We're also trying to bring in operators. New York is a hub where you can find all these different types of people and get them working together. At this stage of our business, there's close to 40 of us in the office. At this stage of the business, it's so, collaborative and things are moving so fast. If people were sitting remote, it wouldn't work. If people were sitting in different offices, it wouldn't work. And so it was important for us to find a place we could bring everyone together and get the type of talent we needed.
Maybe you can call us maybe old school hospitality people, which we're not, but people may call us this for saying this, but the energy and the buzz of being in the office and really creating and using all the different parts of your brain that's required in hospitality, whether it's the investment side or the creative side or the marketing side, the finance side, the operational side, we just get so much energy from that. We find it to be a ton of fun and critical. It's not a luxury, it's survival of an early stage business. We're a bit past that now, but getting to the point that we're at, you got to be in the room together, and you got to enjoy it a little bit, right? Because it's hard.
You don't enjoy every day, which in theory is why you left your day jobs to begin with. Let's go take a bet on ourselves and see what we can't do. If I'm an owner of a hotel, can I franchise at Trailborn?
You can't. If you are an owner of a hotel and you want to convert your hotel to a Trailborn, you call us and we'll either talk to you about buying your hotel or working together in a different format. But Trailborn is a brand that is owned and controlled by us, not by Marriott.
So if I call you, I don't call Marriott. It's not one of the Marriott franchisees selling it. It's you guys who I got to go through.
Correct.
But I still can't franchise. You guys are developing it all. You guys are building it all. You guys control the brand.
That's right.
A guest gets Bonvoy points.
A guest is able to go on Marriott.com. A guest is able to go on the Marriott Bonvoy app and is able to book any one of our hotels and earn points or redeem points at our hotels.
Fascinating. Why Marriott? Why now? Tell me how this deal went down. Tell me who called who. Talk me through some nuances.
Yeah, so the M&A team, which is Tim Grishas and Neil Lund and Bridget Mamedi at Marriott, I think first of all have been amazing to work with. They work as hard as we do. They are equally, I think, committed to their business as we are to ours, and I think that creates like a really interesting environment of mutual respect when you're trying to figure out a deal like this. There was a guy who used to work for Tim who reached out to us cold on LinkedIn and started that conversation. And we got to know Tim and Neil and Bridget as well. And spent about a year kind of figuring out how to ultimately get Marriott what they wanted, which is product like this, do it in a format that they're comfortable with, but also help us scale our business and take us to the next level where we had 237 million members looking to book our hotels that we didn't have before. It helps. It helps. I think it was really important to us that we really maintain total control of what we feel is the spirit of our outdoor adventure brand. And to maintain that and to hold on to that and continue to build on and create that with the level of independence that we have now, that was fundamental to us. But ultimately, is like we want Marriott to be thrilled that they did this deal with us. We got to know them really well. We spent a lot of hours with them and really enjoyed it. And listen, we're thrilled to be in business with them. It's very early days, but we feel we're delivering a product that is unique to the Marriott system, and we feel like we'll be able to benefit from that as a result.
And all I'd add is that we wanted the same thing. We saw the same thing. Marriott's guests were telling them, their customers were telling them, we want to be in the outdoors. We want a boutique hotel in the outdoors. And Marriott saw that that's what we were trying to build. And so they came to us and said, hey, we should do this with you. And for us to partner with the largest hotel business in the world, and as Ben said, over 200 million Bonvoy members. I mean, it was sort of the best of both worlds for us, where we can maintain the product, maintain the experience we're trying to build, but also do it with the best hotel company in the world.
Now, I gotta know, what is it like to get that phone call? You think you're getting punked? Like, talk to me here.
It's so funny, Teague. You're starting to tell us, but we don't celebrate the wins all that often, which we should do. We should have had that moment, but we were sort of like, we should probably take this call. We should probably talk to these guys. And then of course we got to talking and started to kind of piece something together. But it's funny, in hindsight, that totally should have been how it happened, but it was a bit more kind of all right, let's talk to them at the time.
But then when you take that call, I remember exactly where I was standing on that call. Right?
Yeah.
I think that this deal will change the trajectory of our business.
So I get from the Marriott perspective why they did the deal, right? So Hilton's got, okay, Graduate we mentioned earlier, but they did the deal with AutoCamp, same infancy state. So this, call that. Hyatt's got Under Canvas, right? I mean, you guys are different, but the same in that it's not glamping, it's 150, 200 rooms, but it's similar. So I understand why Marriott's like, no, we got to dive into this business. And again, I'm impressed to you two that they picked you guys. How scalable is this?
This business?
Yes.
A lot more scalable than people think, but there is inherently in every niche in real estate, there is a limit to what you can do. I mentioned it before, but real estate's the largest asset class in the world, and that's a beautiful thing. And so niche real estate opportunities are often a lot bigger than people think. Our view is, there's a couple $1 billion worth of equity to deploy into this space and into these types of resorts. Is it 10? Probably not. But is it 1 to 2? We feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
And the way you scale it is focus, right? Like you asked before about our pipeline, and there are deals that we will do with owners that we've been talking to for 3 or 4 years, right? Like, and so they'll come to us and say, hey, we met you guys a few years ago. We weren't thinking about selling now, but let's talk about that a little bit. Now they see who we are and what we're built and how we involve ourselves in the communities and we're in, and they want to talk to us. But that takes time, right? We've got a team of people that are focused on doing nothing but going into the markets we've identified and building those relationships, with the business district, with the owners in all those markets to try and find our deal that we may do now or we may do 2 or 3 years from now. One of the challenges that we have is we're a distributed business, right? We have to get on an airplane to get to any one of our properties.
Sure.
And so we need great people on the ground in every place, but we also need to be there, right? We're traveling pretty much every week because this is a product that you need to touch and feel and talk to customers and understand what they want, understand what's working and what's not working. And so that's throughout the entire company. Everyone that sits in New York is on the road frequently to see and touch and feel the product. Being in these, in some cases, kind of secondary, spread out markets, there are challenges from a development standpoint and a staffing standpoint, I think are the two things that we run into the most. From a staffing standpoint, you're just going to have a lot more labor in a place like New York than you will 3 hours outside of Phoenix near the Grand Canyon. And so we have to work really hard to make sure we get great people that can deliver the type of experience we want to deliver. Because we are a brand, because we're building something aspirational, the talent that is in or near these markets are excited to come and be a part of something that's new and growing that they align with. And so that's something that's been very helpful for us in bringing on great people in these markets. And then from a construction and development standpoint, there aren't as many trades in Williams, Arizona as there are in here in a place like Wilmington. There are a lot of great trades, and there are a lot of people that are local here. But in some of these markets in mountain towns, you really have to work hard to make sure you're finding the right partners that have done great work in these dispersed locations and bring them in to help you.
Yeah, we're meeting more and more of those these days.
Yeah.
They've been tiny, but we're meeting more and more.
Yeah.
Mike, you talk about sustainability. Talk to me about Keep It Extraordinary.
So we started the Keep Extraordinary program because we're selling a place as much as we're selling a hotel room, and we feel like it is our duty to keep these places around and beautiful forever. And so the Keep Extraordinary program, we donate a portion of every single booking that's made directly on our website to a local conservation organization. And so we identify the right organization in each market that we go into and partner with them and work with them closely to make sure they continue to do the work that they're already doing.
That's great. And I think that stuff matters today.
Yeah. No, it's been something that's rewarding for us, rewarding for our team, and also the local communities we go into really appreciate it.
Yeah, because you guys are very community oriented. Sorry to pick on that, but everywhere you go, there's whether it's the labor, but just the guests, and hey, get out there and enjoy the community. And then I'm guessing that the locals want to come and experience what you brought to them.
Not only is it the right thing to do, which is the most important piece to this, but it also pays enormous dividends, right?
Sure.
When you have relationships with subs, when you have relationships with the local labor base, when you have relationships with a mayor or someone who you're talking to about getting a permit for something, it's just hugely valuable. And when we sit in this restaurant last night and we had a full night on a Tuesday night, and 30% of that is locals, that's really important to us.
Yeah. Guys, this has been great, by the way. Thank you for being here. So we're wrapping up. I got to ask one of those hokey questions, but you guys, this is going to be great for the two of you. So I'm going to ask it, what advice would you give your younger self? Because I think that matters. I think the people watching here, and now you guys are still early enough in it, yet that it's hopefully still fresh. But if you look back on yourselves when you started, what advice would you give your younger self? There's got to be some nugget in there.
I'd probably say a couple things. One is that if I was talking to the two of us,
Yes.
I'd say, Ben and Mike, this is going to be a longer road and a harder road than you think, but that's okay. And what this road will give you in terms of rewiring the way you think about almost everything in life is totally invaluable and will change the way you think about your family, your business, where you want to go, what's important in life in a way that is really powerful, and that is a gift.
I'd probably say, good thing you have a partner, because it's nearly impossible to do this on your own. Good thing you have the right partner, and your partner is probably better suited to be your partner than you now know, and lean into your differences and really get to learn each other and what each other can and can't do, and lean into that.
I would also say learn by doing. To really create value and build a business from scratch in a highly competitive world, you have to create something. You have to create it. You can't rely on others. You can't be a middleman. You just have to create it. And you have to deliver something that people really care about. And that most importantly in a way is the team. You have to deliver something to your team that they really care about and are motivated by. And ultimately to guests and then to investors, most importantly. But you have to create it, and that's really hard. And it's painful, but it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's worth it.
This is great. Guys, I've loved this. Thank you guys for being here. This is fantastic. I love hearing your story. I love sharing your experiences. I think people get a lot out of it. Yeah. And now, I'm excited to go walk your favorite hotel out of your favorite child. I'm excited to go walk, and you guys tell us all about it. So we're going to go walk a hotel. Hopefully you guys watch that episode next. Thank you. Thank you guys.
This is fun. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Teague. Appreciate it.